Rico.
And I can't be replaced. And this is Rico and Hook. So to start off, I mean, we've got no shortage of news from... Okay, let's... Uno mas, come on. Hold on.
I got it. Ready? 3,
No.
2, 1.
So to start off, I mean, we've got no shortage of news from around the world of sports. So first off, it was rivalry weekend in the NBA. We saw the Knicks and Nets play. Unfortunately, the Knicks did fall to the Nets. However, some great performances from Julius Randle and R.J. Barrett. I mean, how do you feel about this rivalry between the two New York teams?
I mean, it's always good. I mean, it goes throughout all across sports. Every New York team has a really good rivalry, and I think it just brings more energy to the game and a lot of fans. It's pretty much equal in most of the stadiums now when you go to a New York game. So I think the energy in the stadium is what really brings the game to life.
Yeah, and then the final game of that rivalry weekend was Celtics-Lakers. I was at the game in Boston, so I got to see Crybaby miss the wide-open layup to end the game. Fell on the floor, started a temper tantrum that kind of went viral everywhere, and then I mean, unfortunately, Lakers did fall in overtime, but the Celtics overall just played an amazing game. Did you see that game? If so, what were your thoughts on it? How do you think the Celtics played?
I mean, I think the Celtics played a good game. I'm not surprised that LeBron James was complaining at the end of the game, crying on the ground. I did see that. I'm just curious. You are wearing a Jason Tatum jersey. Are you a Celtics fan?
I mean...
So... Since Hook is actually a Knicks fan, it was kind of confusing for me, but
Duke fan. Let's go Jason Tatum, but Knicks all the way. So moving into keeping with Duke, I mean, a huge win over Georgia Tech, 86-43, double Georgia Tech's points, and Kyle Filipowski, Rookie of the Week, Freshman of the Week in the ACC. Once again, this is the 5th time this season he put up 18 points and 9 rebounds in this game. So once again, I mean, freshmen are taking over college basketball. How do you feel about these young stars taking over the game?
Yeah, I feel like we talked about this a couple of times, how it seems like the younger guys are starting to take over all leagues across sports. But I think in college as a freshman, starting anywhere, getting playing time, putting up big numbers is just going to be a big thing in your career further on. So if these guys in college can put up these numbers early in their career when they're 18, 19 years old, it's only going to translate to the next level.
Yeah, now moving into football, we had that last game, Chiefs-Bengals. I know you had a lot to say about that game. I know the refs had a lot to say about the game.
Yeah.
So what are your opinions on that last game between Kansas City and Cincinnati?
I mean, I think the officiating kind of took over the game. It seemed like there was just a flag thrown every other play. It kind of got repetitive and almost made the game kind of boring. Obviously, towards the end when Patrick Mahomes was running around on one leg somehow. Bengals get another unfortunate roughing the passer call. Chiefs get in field goal range, and Harrison Butker once again, for the past couple of years, seems like he's becoming one of the more clutch kickers in the league now, putting his name up there next to like a guy like Justin Tucker. But I thought the game was really interesting throughout. I just think the referees kind of took over both AFC championship games and NFC championship.
And keeping with the conference championships, I mean, how about those Eagles, man? I mean, continuing their success throughout the regular season into the postseason. I know they brought down your New York Giants, but, I mean, this entire postseason, they've just done an amazing job overall.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really agree. It seems like they've had not the best competition. I hate to shame on the Giants wearing the sweatshirt right now, but obviously you played a Giants team that went to the playoffs with only like 9 wins. The Eagles beat them twice, and you played a team with a 4-string quarterback for 3 out of the 4 quarters of the game. Turns out Brock Purdy actually had a UCL injury, which is related to Tommy John, which puts baseball players out almost up to 6 months to a year. So, I mean, I think the Eagles obviously were going to that game to win. That's what we both predicted. But I just don't think the Eagles played the best competition going into the Super Bowl.
I mean, I totally agree. Not amazing teams that they played in the regular season as well, but still, I mean, the Eagles have just a lot of talent on the roster, from their receiving core with Devontae Smith to their quarterback, Jalen Hurts. Just overall, I think they're a great team. I know they haven't played the best competition overall, but I think they're still very talented. And now, ending off this segment with baseball, kind of our forte here, Art Moreno, the owner of the Angels, will be keeping the Angels. It was rumored that he could be selling off the team, but now with him keeping the Angels, what do you think this means for the future of Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani?
Just start with Mike Trout. I mean, I think he could have maybe a couple years left with the Angels. Obviously, his contract's keeping him there late into his career, late 30s. And again, he's going to be similar to Aaron Judge, where he'll be with his team for a long time. Obviously, Mike Trout's he's been the face of baseball for seems like his whole entire career now, but I think Mike Trout, once he get into his mid-30s, could eventually be traded, or they could just avoid his no-trade clause. And then moving to Shohei Ohtani, I think this could play into his trade value now. I think teams are going to start eyeing him more. It looks like the Angels want to either make a big change or make a playoff push. So it seems like what the owner is going to decide to do, and hiring even maybe new coaching staff and stuff like that.
And, I mean, I agree with everything you just said there. I mean, Mike Trout, I can see him getting traded later on in the future, but right now it looks like Art Moreno, with him keeping the team, not selling it off, I think he truly does want to win, and he doesn't want to just, he's not in it just for the money. But, I mean, with Shohei Ohtani, personally, with how the Angels front office has been these past few years, I don't see them trading him off. I mean, at the trade deadline, he's on a $30 million one-year contract to avoid arbitration this last offseason. So I just don't see Shohei getting traded, especially with all the money that he's going to bring in for just half of a year of his value. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Angels lose out on trading him and they lose him for nothing in free agency.
Yeah, I mean, that would probably be their last hope. They want to sign him to a big deal. Again, it's all up to Shohei Ohtani where he can get big money. Obviously, somewhere else, big-name player, both ways. Everybody knows who Shohei Ohtani is. But I think that just about does it for this segment. Don't go anywhere because we got our world-famous sports prediction segment coming up when we come back. Welcome back. Rumors continue to dominate headlines in each major U.S. sport, so Hook and I are going to make our predictions based on these headlines. Most notably, will LeBron James pass MJ, being just the greatest basketball player of all time?
I think so. I mean, obviously, this is a very controversial topic. LeBron is 2 MVPs behind and 2 championships behind MJ. MJ with 6 championships and 5 MVPs, LeBron with 4 and 3 respectively. But, I mean, you just look at what he's doing at 38 years old. I mean, it's just so impressive. And I think with LeBron's longevity, with the fact that he's going to be playing until he's 40, maybe even past that, I mean, I just think, with him most likely passing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar now in points and all the records that he has above MJ, I 100% think that he's going to pass MJ by the time he's retired. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I can't see him beating MJ in the championships scenario and the MVP scenario. I don't think LeBron's going to be the best guy in the league over the next 3 to 4 years max that he does play. Obviously, he does want to play with his son, Bronny James, for at least one season on the same team. But I do think that now passing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in points plays a big factor into that. And the longevity, obviously, if you're playing into your 40s in basketball, which is a sport with a lot of the physical part of it, I think he could definitely be in the conversation, but I think it's going to be an argument even once LeBron retires forever.
Yeah, and I mean, with that kind of keeping with the NBA, I mean, LeBron James, obviously, and Michael Jordan are up there, but right now, another key player that's kind of getting up there in age, Steph Curry. Do you see him ever being in that conversation, like top 5, maybe even top 3 players of all time?
I definitely see him in the top 5 no matter what. I think Steph Curry should be either in that or right around the top 5 players of all time. And again, I still think Steph Curry has 3 to 4 good years left, great years. Obviously, he's the best point guard in basketball right now still. Or again, you can put him in a conversation top 3 no matter what. But I do think if Steph Curry somehow wins another championship and really makes LeBron try and catch up to his championships now, I think Steph Curry can definitely be that top 5 conversation at the end of his career.
Yeah, and right now, Curry and LeBron both have 4 chips to their name. Curry obviously was the headliner of the Dynasty Warriors team throughout the 2010s, and still now they are a great team. And you just look at him, he's an amazing shooter. He's perfected the craft of the three-pointer. And I agree with you 100%. I just think that, Steph Curry is up there with the top 5 players of all time right now. And like you said, I think he's the best point guard of all time. And now moving into the NFL, I mean, obviously, we still have the Super Bowl yet to go, Chiefs and Eagles. However, looking past that a little bit, there is the offseason coming up right after the postseason. So with all these free agents coming up now, I mean, who do you think is going to be the biggest surprise signing in NFL free agency?
I mean, there's a couple of the quarterbacks going out there. I think Tom Brady is going to surprise a lot of people.
Don't say the Jets.
When he goes to the Raiders this offseason, and Derek Carr goes to the Jets.
Okay,
so
you know what?
Just make your day even worse.
Don't just as long as you don't get my ego up,
yeah.
my Jets hope up. I'm just happy,
But obviously, as a Giants fan, you gotta hope that Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley stays. between them two, do you think they will go to any other team, or what team would they go to if they did have to?
Oh, Saquon's staying 100%, and I think
Okay, I
Daniel
hope
Jones.
so.
I think Daniel Jones too. I wouldn't be entirely 100% shocked if Jones leaves per se, but I mean I still think he's re-signing, and I think Saquon is 100% re-signing. And now sticking with what my question was before, me personally, I also agree with Tom Brady being the biggest shocker in free agency. However, I wouldn't be surprised if he returns to the Patriots. I mean, you got players like Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi who kind of underperformed to their standards. Mac Jones these past 2 years has not performed to the first-round draft pick standards that he was trying to live up to, and Bailey Zappi being the backup for Mac Jones, he also had a lot of pressure put on him, and I don't think he's the guy that can really lead this team to the wins during the regular season. And you see players like Tom Brady, I wouldn't be surprised if he returns to New England. Obviously, his heart is in New England, so I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back. And now we had a chance to ask a few Wayne Hills High School students on their thoughts on who they think is going to win the Super Bowl this year. Let's roll the clip.
All right, I think the Chiefs are going to take the Super Bowl because Patty Mahomes is the greatest quarterback alive.
All right, I think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl. I think because Travis Kelce is going to have a massive game and get more than 3 touchdowns.
I think the Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl. Their offense has been doing amazing lately, and, yeah, they're going to beat the Chiefs.
Now that about wraps things up for our sports prediction segment. Now don't you click off that video. I know it's enticing, but what's even more enticing is our brand new segment that we will be delivering to you when we return. Welcome back to the show, and do we have a treat for you?
That's right. This is our newest segment, The Rant. The way it works is that I give Hook a topic, and he gave me a topic. And we're going to have 2 minutes each to rant on the topic.
The point is to have fun. Nobody's feelings are getting hurt.
They're going to get hurt.
Nobody's getting canceled on this show.
Yeah, we hope so. So your topic is the Jets.
You really gave me this one.
Yep.
All right, listen, I'm going to I'm going off the cuffs. No timer here. I'm going to talk to the people right now. I'm going to talk to the people because this last season was a disappointment to say the least. I mean, we lost
Look in the camera and talk.
7 games
Listen to
in a
the
row.
camera. There you go.
I'm not going to look at you because you're going to laugh.
Look into the camera. Talk to the viewers
all the time. Let me rant. We lost 7 games in a row to end off the season. We went 7-3 to 7-10. We missed the playoffs in typical Jets fashion. I mean, how do you let this happen? How do you in any way let this happen? Because you know what? It's blasphemous to see a team go from doing so well. Yeah, I really got my vocabulary down to a T. I'm feeling like Stephen A. Smith up here. I mean, it is insane that a team can do so well to start off the season and then just fall apart. I mean, they went from looking like one of the best young teams in the league to just
stretching it.
Awful. I mean, you saw what Zach Wilson had to give to this team, and it was nothing. You saw what Mike White had to give to this team, and it was nothing. You saw Joe Flacco not even be a member of this team.
Zach Wilson was
the
focused
only
somewhere
thing
else.
that we had in this entire roster was our defense. Our offense didn't show up, and when we relied on our defense, they didn't show up. I think right now it's down to the front office and the coaching staff with our recent hire of our new offensive coordinator. I'm not so sure if that's even going to help us that much. I'm not sure if Nathaniel Hackett can even take this team from out of the dumpster fire
Probably
that they're in right now. But you know what? Before I get too heated, I'm going to pass it on to you. And I also went with another East Rutherford team.
Oh, God.
I want you to talk about the Giants' disappointing postseason this year. Go ahead.
Well, let's just rewind to the season. Obviously, we didn't have a disappointing season, right? There isn't too much to talk about besides how we got completely destroyed by the Eagles in the first round, in the second round of the playoffs. Obviously, we handed it to the Vikings in the first round. Pretty much how it goes is that Daniel Jones did not know what to do once there was any bit of pressure in his face. Our offensive line pretty much looks the same since about 2011 when Eli Manning still had to evade sacks and won a Super Bowl. Saquon Barkley probably be injured again next year, unfortunately. Our number 1 receiver is Isaiah Hodgins. Nobody knows who that is. Our defense actually looked pretty good. Dexter Lawrence was probably the best player and still didn't make first-team All-Pro, even though multiple players, quarterbacks around the league, like Aaron Rodgers even said that he should have been the league MVP.
Sounds pretty positive for a rant.
Yeah, it is pretty positive when you make the playoffs.
We don't have to go that far.
No, let's go back to the Jets.
No, I don't think we will.
Yeah. You guys had 3 starting quarterbacks this year, right?
We don't need to talk about that. So the 49ers.
Yeah. What about that defense? You guys allowed a lot of points this year, huh?
We still have
And you
some
had to
high
fire
we
offensive
still have some
coordinator
high
because
points.
that's
in
how
Sauce
bad your
Gardner,
quarterbacks
though.
were.
But we still have some high points. Players like Sauce Gardner, players like Garrett Wilson, and I think
Sauce Gardner can only cover one guy at a time, huh? Yeah, you didn't even know what to say about that.
that'll do it for our anti-Jets segment. Don't go anywhere. We only have one more segment left, and it is a good one. So stick around, and we will be right back. Now, welcome back. We're going to wrap up the show with our Ask the Analyst segment. We're pleased to be joined by our senior analyst and social media representative, Marisa Toulas. So welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
And first off, we're going to talk about your favorite player in the NBA, Russell Westbrook. Got to see him live in Boston and unfortunately did not beat the Westbrook allegations. So, how do you feel about his recent struggles these past 2 seasons with the Lakers? Do you feel like a change of scenery is necessary, or is he just a lost cause?
I think he does need a change of scenery. I think all the publicity and the hate in LA is not good for him. We saw it impact him immediately, and it really impacted not only his playing life, but he's talked about his family life and how his wife and kids can't even come to games. And I feel really sorry for him, not just because he's my favorite player, but nobody should go through that. And I think he does need a change of scenery, and it'll be a huge rebound for him, literally.
I think it's pretty much a lost cause at this point for his point in his career. I think he hit his peak over there in OKC, and now at this point with the Lakers for a couple of years. I think if he's going to go to another team, maybe play, start a couple of games, and eventually I think it is at the point where he just should retire and live his life with his family and his daughters and stuff like that.
So now moving out of the NBA, we're going into the NFL now. Obviously, the Super Bowl is just around the corner. So, with these recent rise in these young stars, who do you guys feel is the current face of the NFL?
I hate to say it, but I think Patrick Mahomes is definitely the new face of the NFL, and most of the time it's quarterbacks. We saw Tom Brady, love him or hate him, he was kind of the face, but I think Patrick Mahomes definitely has stepped up, and the media loves him, the people love him, and I can definitely see him being the face of the NFL.
Yeah, I have to agree, Patrick Mahomes, but just to be a little bit different. The other quarterback is the Super Bowl, Jalen Hurts. Now if you're a kid, you want to play like Jalen Hurts, or you can even throw Lamar Jackson with his running ability. That's kind of the quarterback style now, is that dual threat quarterback being able to throw and pass all in one. So I think Jalen Hurts will be the next face of football along with Patrick Mahomes.
So you both mentioned Chiefs quarterback, Eagles quarterback, 2 teams in the Super Bowl this year. So who do you have winning the Super Bowl this year?
I think the Eagles are going to come out on top. They have proved me wrong every single time I said they were going to lose. But, they're just so strong. They seem to be really hurting their opponents. So, the Chiefs are amazing, but I think that the Eagles will come out on top.
¿Y tú, Rico?
I think the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl this year. I think Patrick Mahomes coming off the 2-week ankle injury. Obviously, he was hurt during that game. Everybody saw it. But I think the 2-week rest is really going to pay off, along with Travis Kelce with that back injury. And I think the Eagles need to rest a couple of their guys too. So I think the 2 weeks off until the Super Bowl is going to really benefit both teams. But I think the Chiefs are the better team on the offensive side of the ball going to the game.
And then sticking with the Super Bowl, the Queen of Pop, Rihanna, performing at the halftime show.
It's a big
What
deal.
song are you most anticipating for this upcoming halftime show?
I think one of her oldies but goodies, Work. When that song came out, the whole world stopped. I know that's your favorite song.
With Drake too?
Yep. Maybe he'll get a feature surprise, but I think that's what I'm most excited for. She hasn't had any new music, kind of hurt, but she's killing it in the beauty and skincare department. So,
Rico, what are your thoughts on Riri?
Riri is my top 5 rapper of all time. You got to throw.
She's not a rapper. She's a pop singer. Just so you know.
It's all in the same
Step
category.
Step it up. What song are you looking forward to?
It's called Woo. I know you guys know that song. That's definitely my favorite song by Rihanna by far.
Me personally, I'm looking forward to Unfaithful, just an all-round bop. It's a little slower, but come on, you can't diss old Riri.
Just don't call it a bop. So that'll do it for our show. Tune in next week for another episode of the #1 weekly sports talk show here on Wayne News TV. I'm Rico.
And I'm Marissa.
And I'm Hook, and still irreplaceable. And this has been Rico and Hook.